We'll call to order the City Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, November the 12th. The time is 5:30. Would you please rise for the invocation and pledge? Heavenly Father, we ask that you watch over this group tonight, that you give us the wisdom to make good decisions for the city of Leesburg. We do this in your name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight we have no proclamations. We will have a presentation on the West Leesburg CDC update.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Fred Griffin Jr. I am the president of West Leesburg CDC. First, I would like to publicly thank the commissioners that came out on to our fall festival on Saturday. Although we had a little conflict of interest, but we made it work. Commissioner Berry, Reisman, also the commissioners of CRA was there, Connor, and also Alderman. So I thank you all for coming out and participating. And I would like to also publicly congratulate re-election on Mayor Burry and Canal on your re-election. Also with Public Works, no matter what time I call or email, they always respond back. So I want to publicly thank Public Works as well for doing an awesome job, no matter what the situation and circumstance may be, especially getting us prepared for the Fall Festival. They came out and changed some equipment out, pressure washed, painted, make sure the water was drained properly from the flood. And I thank you all. So kudos to you all. Thank you so much. So I'm here to give you all a West Leesburg update on what's been going on over the last year. For those of you that may not know, West Leesburg, we are redevelopment. We go into the community, remove the blight, try to partner with the CRA, and try to identify everything that's necessary to make our community better and safer. So with this PowerPoint, I'm just gonna show you all what we have done over the last year. Of course, we date back to 2006 when it was established under the spearhead of Ms. Agnes Berry. And we have been moving forward with great results, and we will love to continue that relationship that we have with the city. So with our mission with West Leesburg CDC is, like I stated, it is to remove the blight conditions, engage in economic growth, promote high quality of life, and improve the living conditions. Our vision also states that we are to improve and help empower the community through education, mentoring, leadership development, housing and commercial development, infrastructure, and such as go on. We also help with rental assistance, first-time home buyer program, workforce housing, utility payment assistance, clothing for kids, public transportation vouchers, cooking for classes for seniors and young adults, and also next youth offense programs. So the things that we have listed for our vision, we are unable to do, unfortunately, due to circumstances that we have. I'm sure since I'm up here making this presentation that we're going to fix it moving forward. Remind you all that I'm not up here for myself. I take myself out of the equation. It's always going to be about the community. So that's what I'm advocating for the community. One thing that I do want to point out with our vision, we are in the process of getting first-time home buyers into the homes. One that we are very proud of, that we have an assistant principal that was willing to move to Leesburg as a first-time home buyer because she see what's going on in our community, and she's here locally at our high school. So that was a pat on our back when we did our redevelopment to offer that first-time home buyer to her. Now, when it comes to the other entities on here, such as cooking and things like that, unable to do so. We have done it in the past with Chef Z before COVID. We would love to continue to utilize the kitchen. I'm there Monday through Thursday. I would love to sit down and have a further discussion with that. So I just wanted to point out these things that on our vision that we are unable to fulfill at this moment. But like I stated, moving forward, I'm open to a dialogue so we can fix these issues to make sure the residents are getting the best out of our community. With our board members, we have 9 board members. Excluding myself, I make 10 since I am that swing vote. I'm just there to make recommendations. We also have an office manager as well. She is the only paid person on payroll, and her name is Ms. Cassandra Cunningham, and she's well established, been with Ms. Berry from day one, and she makes sure that we keep everything in line when it comes to our books and especially our finances. Now, let's take a look at our general fund expenses. Now, I put in a request about a year ago with our general fund, and I stated that we were receiving $930 from the city as a stipend. That stipend was to basically prepare those to become first-time home buyers. Unfortunately, that was taken away from us about a year or two ago, so we did turn around and ask the city out of that COVID funds to take $50,000 out of that to help offset our general funds. So with our general funds, we have the community give back, which from our physical date, it's the same with the city. It starts October 1st to September 30th. Up until today's date, we spend about $3,700 on community give back. That includes back to school. That includes sponsorships for those that may want to have us represent them out in the community. Letters come in all the time. We just can't fulfill them all, but we do our best. Our office supplies, we have done scholarship. We did 2 recipients this year from Leesburg High School. There was $1,000 each. We had a committee that spearheaded it to identify those 2 recipients. Like I stated, with the partnership and the scholarship, with those that come in, we just got a letter from Lake Community Action Agency. They asked for funding that will help with utility bills for those that may need assistance, especially when it comes to West Leesburg area. We have had sponsorships from Kappa. We have had sponsorships from different other organizations to help with summer programs. So that category is specified with the $1,300. As you all see, our office manager, like I stated, she's the only one on payroll, and her salary is $12,000 a year. Our storage and our phone services is $2,000 a year. And just to give a ballpark, between 2023 and 2024, we average about $21,706. That's not a lot of money, especially when you're trying to operate a community that's in critical need. And I get the phone calls day in and day out. We get people coming to the office nonstop asking, what can we do to help for West Leesburg? So as you all see, the $50,000 is pretty much going pretty quick. So I would like to have a further discussion with our CRA commissioners and you all to address how we can identify. And I'm sure you all scratching your head, yeah, we have 2 CDCs. Yes, we do. However, we are offset because of legal aspects, and that's why we have 2, and that's why we have 2 CRAs. So I want us to make sure that we stay together as one, but individual entities, if that makes sense, as an organization. We do a lot for the community, and especially for me to be in the office Monday through Thursday. I'm not even on payroll, but that just shows where my heart and my commitment is to the community. So let's go to the next slide, please. With the next slide, we're looking at the rehab first-time home buyer. Like I stated, Harlem House. The Harlem House was an old Habitat home. It sat there about 2 to 3 years when I became president. I was like, I need to get this home because this will help remove the blight out of the community. Well, we did. On February of 2024, we purchased it for $140,000. We renovated in and out for $36,000, and we sold it, like I stated, to an assistant principal here in our back door that was loved where she's at in our community. So that was, once again, a pat on the back. So if you look at the overall, it took us about 4 to 6 months to complete this project. So if you go to the next slide for me, please. This was the before pictures. It was a horrible condition. We went in, like I say, gutted everything from in and out. It left us with basically starting over with a brand new home, except making sure that we meet the requirements from planning and zoning. Next slide. This is the after picture. The after picture is phenomenal. I mean, like I said, it's just a pat on the back just to see the end result and knowing that someone is there, you know, in that home. So as we move on to our new construction, this is one of our dear baby, we call it, at the CDC West Side. We partnered up with KEFCO. KEFCO came to us and said, we want to give back to the community. We would love to partner with you all. So this is a brand new, never before done, designed custom home. The price started off at $492. May it did increase because of the supplies between us requesting for the funding back in October up until May. Everything went up, and of course it had to be done through planning and zoning, so it was time consuming. But if you look at the table of December of 2023, planning and zoning had approved it. We had to put $10,000 towards this particular project. On April 2024, the permits were approved, and then August of 2024, that's when we finally broke ground and got the project rolling. Next slide, please. As of October, which I drove by today or try to go by often, they have started the roof. So this was back in October when I snapped this photo. So as you all see, it's going to be 2 duplexes. It's going to be a 3, 2 and a half. We're looking to get a first-time home buyer in there. We are still canvassing to see who's out there. Just unfortunate that with the process, it's taking longer than what we anticipate. But KEFCO stated that they should be done by March of next year and or April. So we're still trying to identify those that want to become first-time home buyer within West Leesburg. Of course, we cannot discriminate, so first come, first serve, and we're making sure that we are doing our part to give others an opportunity. Next slide, please. This is the finished result after everything is said and done with KEFCO. Like I said, it's a 2-story. We're going to put some accessibilities in there for ADA for those that may be wanting to purchase it as a first-time home buyer but need some assistance. So that's going to be our end result when it comes to the 2-story. Now, when we look at the next slide, I just want us to take a look, especially commissioners. When we identify of going into the community with West Leesburg, one of the things that we want to make sure that we continue to do moving forward is that we continue to assist the CRA. It has not been done in the past, and like I stated, with me being the president over the last 3 years, for some reason it has lapsed. Now that we have new CRA that's on board, we're ready to work. I think that we have shown ourselves approved over the last year and have identified what needs to be done. And I think moving forward, it's no disappointment. So I just want to, like I stated, have a roundtable with our CRA and with the commissioners moving forward to see what we can do to continue to remove the blight from the from the community and get these first-time home buyers inside these new homes. And that will include my PowerPoint, and I would like to thank you all once again for this opportunity to present myself. I know you all have a full agenda, but I just wanted to highlight some of the key points, and I will entertain any questions or concerns that you may have at this time.
Any questions for Fred?
No.
Thank you, Fred.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll move on now to item 4, public comments. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issues will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration at a future City Commission meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, and would you please give your name and your address when you come to the microphone. Are there any public comments?
Gary Custer, 8909 East Treasure Island Avenue, Leesburg. I want to thank Cliff Kelsey for staying on the Silver Lake Point thing and the water coming out onto 44, the storm water running out there. They're working on it. Something's being done, and it's good. You know, they're going to change it so it's actually going into a storm drain instead of into the road. So that's a plus. But now we have other things happening. We got Orange Bend coming online, and 44 is worse than ever. They lowered the speed limit to 45. Sounds like a good idea, but it's not helping. It just spread traffic out further, so now you sit and wait. Instead of waiting 5 minutes, you wait 10 minutes. So it's not helping. You need to do something in conjunction with the county. I know you guys have told me before, it's not your problem, it's the county's problem, but it's a problem being created by all the housing, all the development that's going on up there. So something's got to change with the cooperation between you and the county to get something done. The road has to be improved. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Alan Foote. I live at 6030 Hunters Ridge Avenue in Legacy of Leesburg. You'll have to forgive me for reading my paper. My glasses aren't as good. I'd like to discuss a couple of things. I'd like to first talk about Shady Oak Cemetery on Ferguson Avenue. For several years, I've conducted genealogy research, and as part of it, I've researched the Find a Grave database, which helps locate and take pictures of headstones for loved ones that are looking for them. Several years ago, I received a request for a headstone picture at Shady Oak. It happened to be Butler Dabney. And when I went there for the very first time, it was knee-high weeds. I couldn't even see any other graves, so I called it off. I subsequently went back, and it was cleaned up. It was then that I found out from Lone Oak that the city had designated them as basically the groundskeepers, and it looked pretty good. Now, my thing was I don't know whether Shady Oaks is a private cemetery, independent cemetery. I don't know who owns it, because I am doing research on the cemetery.
He's looking it up right now.
Thank you. Now, Hurricane Milton hit, and both Lone Oak and Shady Oaks were hit pretty good. But there are two very large oak trees in Shady Oak Cemetery, and they landed on about 10 to 12 vault sites. And if it weren't for the thickness of the branches, it would have destroyed two of them. Now, I've spoken with the people at Lone Oak, and they were responsible for the cleanup, but they do not have the capability of cutting those two big oak trees down. And they said that they had contacted the city about this issue in the past, and I'm just wondering if that is something that needs to be done by the city, because otherwise they're just going to sit there. Now, people come and they wander in, and I don't want anybody getting hurt there. I've mapped, photographed, logged, GPS'd vaults and headstones of all of Shady Oaks. I've put them on Find a Grave, the ones that I could, and then hopefully I'll be able to get something else done. And my last thing here is I'm interested in the Dabney Funeral Home records. I know there was a fire, and I'd like to know if anything was salvaged. Thank you.
If you would see Rob Hicks in the back and give your name and number to him, and we'll follow up with you. Shady Oaks is part of Lone Oak, so the contribution that we make to Lone Oak should go towards their maintenance. So we need to talk to the chairperson of the board over there, who's
Murray Tucker.
Murray.
Mr. Murray?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we'll get squared away on some of those issues.
All right. Thank you very much.
Did you have a comment? Shady Oak is right there at Dixie and the railroad track, the old railroad, right? Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Jen McCurry. I live over in Palmora Park. I just want to take a minute to give public recognition. I'm one of the facilitators for the Main Street Car Show, And we did our fundraising this month for the Leesburg Food Bank. In addition to the money that we raised this weekend, John Snyder with Dunstan Plumbing stepped up and helped pull in some funds for us, match some donations. We were able to do over $2,000, and I just want to make sure that he got recognized for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right. We'll move on to item 5. That's the consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commissioner staff wish to discuss any item, the procedure is as follows. 1, pull the item or items from the consent agenda. 2, vote on the remaining items with 1 roll call vote. And 3, discuss each pulled item and vote by roll call. Are there any items anyone would like to pull?
Yes. 5B2.
5B2
5B5, please.
and 5B5. Any other items? All right. Can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion to
Yeah.
approve all remaining items.
Yeah.
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Berry. Yes. Mayor Burry.
Yes. Somebody please introduce 5B2.
Introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a task order with GAI Consultants, Inc. for professional services in the amount of $148,023 for base services and $74,644 for optional bid items and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right. I believe you pulled it?
I did. Al, this is a, you want to give us a brief summary of what this is?
Okay, so in the fiscal year 25 budget, we have about $1.2 million allocated, I believe, from DST funds to address parking and different issues downtown. So the overall plan was to shift the events, the partnership building obviously has changed hands. And the events division now is in the old partnership part. The arts, the Center for the Arts is in one part of that building. So the plan that we have talked about is to relocate, and that got funded in the fiscal year budget, to relocate those organizations, the events division, now to the gas department, as the gas department's moving up to Griffin Road, the arts over to the Tropic, and then the demolition of that facility. With the demolition of the facility, that opens up that area for parking design. So the concepts we had contemplated were a new parking design concept for the center part of that city-owned parcels, as well as redoing other signage and unifying kind of all of our public parking signage to address parking in the downtown. To design that scope of work, we put together a 2-tiered contract. One was $148,000, and then additional services if they're required for the $74,000 to GAI. GAI's primary services are the signage as well as the parking lot design concept, which they're asking $148,000 for. We procured over the summertime a design consultant who would do all design concepts associated with the downtown, which were contemplated in, I believe it's a 2017 or 2018 master plan. GAI was ranked the best. That approval to use them as the sole contractor for design services for downtown issues came before this body, which you all approved. And so the first contract, the first kind of scope of services doing the parking, and that is their estimated cost to do those services.
Okay, so this is just for the design concept.
Correct.
So $220,000 for a design concept?
Well, we hope to keep it at 148. If we need to go into other issues, then it would go up to the 74.
Doesn't it sound like an excessive amount of money for a concept for downtown
No,
parking?
this is design. So it's design, bid, build. So it is a tick over 10%. I wouldn't say it's excessive. I would
So
say,
for this, they're actually going to do all the improvements too?
no, this is design and then procurement. So we design it, review the concept, public input, public meetings, out to bid, with them helping us put together the specs on a design, the concept is design, bid, build. So they get, this contract covers the design and the bid portion. So not the build portion.
So none of the improvements, just the design.
Design.
And the bid.
And bid.
So for up to $220,000 just for that,
Yes,
to just address some downtown parking?
that's the cost, sir.
That just seems way excessive for some downtown parking for design for downtown. What are they gonna, we already know the parking lot, where they're gonna put where the Center of the Arts was at. And address some street signage that needs to be replaced or what have you. For $220,000? It seems like a lot of money. For
The
absolutely.
240 is, that's assuming they go over to the optional,
Yeah, up to,
So
up to,
let's say,
the-
let's
up to
keep
the
it at
220.
150,
Well,
That's
but,
because that's what we anticipate to spend.
well, I know, but there's another 74,000 built into that. There's a possibility.
If money.
But if we approve tonight, I'm assuming that 74,000 would be approved if needed.
Correct.
We would come back to you and let you know once we hit the 148, and those are optional issues if we want to go forward.
I just think, to address some downtown parking and some street signage that needs to be replaced, it seemed like to me, if you wanted to spend this kind of money in downtown, $220,000 would be much better spent downtown than just a design of some off-street parking.
Obviously, this has been a priority for me, trying to improve parking downtown. I had thought about pulling this item. I'll just throw this out for discussion. This is how important the parking is to me. As I read what was involved in the optional bid items, if it would please the commission tonight, I could put that on hold. We could vote on that later, because that is, I looked at the contract very closely, and that's dealing with issues that really are not related to the quote, to the parking lot. They're issues downtown, all that. And as important as that is, I just want to get this parking lot done, at this time, and then do it right. So, I throw that out for discussion if that sways anybody or helps us get this done. Because, help me out, Al, but I did look at the 74,644, really is kind of additional items outside of the quote parking group.
Well, I think the primary
Parking
things
lot.
we want to cover are the on-street parking reconfiguration, the signage, and the design of the parking lot. And I think that those are the bulk items in the 148.
Okay.
Those are the
I may
three
have missed
major
that, okay.
things you want to accomplish, and that's a mixture of the input that this body provided. We separated the contract to keep costs to the minimum. So if the 1.2 million is covering those three items, then you're within kind of that rule of thumb of a 10% for your design consultants.
Yeah.
1.2 million, the 100 and
Yeah.
which is the 148. So it's I don't math real quick, but it's a tick over the 10%. So again, if you want to lop off the 75 and revisit that in the future, I don't think that's an issue. That the main concept is that 148, which is the on-off, the on-street parking, so that's the parking on all the numbered streets, Main Street. That was an issue that Commissioner Reisman brought to the table. Obviously, the downtown parking was something that we all spoke about, specifically you, Commissioner. Those design comps are 148.
Okay, so because
If
the
you
parking
want to
lot,
put a caveat on that says don't go into the 75 unless we make a report and come back to you. If you want to lop that out completely, that's really up to you all.
yeah, I don't mind relooking at it, and I say that in the context of how important it is to get this parking lot done. And I'm just afraid, I'm trying to save everything I can. I'm sure it's going to come in a little bit above $1.2 million. We're going to be trying to find a few more dollars. So I'm just trying to, every way I can to make this work. If I missed something in this, help me out. I thought the 148, the way I read it, was pretty much the parking lot and related stuff. And
No,
the
there were some
optional
other,
stuff
there were
was
some
coming
other
downtown,
scopes of
fixing.
services we may or may not need in there that was
Okay.
part of the 70.
Okay, I may have misread it then. Okay, I just throw it out for discussion. In my efforts to get this thing, moving along.
I'd like to ask, is the current
the street parking, will that change with the little purple dots on figure 2 that they showed? Is it turning
It may very well.
sideways? Okay.
It may very well.
So will they be going into the
We
diagonally?
don't know.
Okay.
But everything that is in the box of basically downtown, canal to
It says, yeah,
Ninth,
all 16 blocks, intersections.
Magnolia
Okay.
to Meadow, all that will be looked at.
And then what about the existing parking lot behind the Tropic now, where the 2 level? Will there be any changes to that one?
In the
Behind the Tropic? The multi-level one?
oh, no.
That'll
No
be the
change
same.
there.
Nothing will be touched there, okay.
Years ago, with,
Look, the parking garage itself, no change. Perhaps the parking lot on the south side, that could get touched.
Okay.
It's, that's, the design concept is opening up the downtown to maximize parking
Okay.
and to remove non-conforming spots for safety and to provide uniform street signing to help the public get to parking easily.
and I mean to interrupt, but I kind of put that into the optional bid part. Am I
The
incorrect in
140
that?
You're incorrect in that.
Okay.
The 148 is for on-off signage and doing the big parking lot at the partnership.
Okay.
That's
That's
and,
correct.
and looking at the gist of all the parking in that area.
So in summary, all I was proposing to the commission was an effort to move this along and how important the parking lot is. And the other issues, I could live, I would approve the whole thing tonight, but I'd also pull back and pull the 74 out and say, bring it back to the commission if that's what it takes to get this approved.
To get the project started as soon as we can, you need to approve the 148 this evening.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
At least.
I'm saying that. I'm saying we could hold off on the other.
You could.
If that's what we need. Okay. I welcome the other commissioners' comments on that.
I support this parking. I know I was an advocate for this. If you haven't been to our downtown, it's a very growing downtown, and parking is an issue. And we have a lot of new businesses down there, and I fully support this. I'm fine with what Commissioner Peterson said about holding off on the 74, but I would like to move forward with the 148.
And please, I was not trying to slow down the 148. I was just trying to help
No, I understand.
control expenses because that's how important it is. And I'll make a comment here also. If you go to our neighboring cities, and I be careful how I say this, but all the downtowns have a parking problem right now, and we have a chance to fix ours. I'll go ahead and say Mount Dora because they're just booming, and it's going to cost them a heck of a lot of money to fix their problem now. And I think it's just great we fix it now or do it right now. I'll remind the audience, and I know the commission knows this, but when we did the downtown master redevelopment plan, which was based on input from the community, parking was the number one issue downtown.
So just if you do suspend or remove that 74,000, you need to make a second
formal
motion to remove it because it's embedded in the motion that's on the floor. right
I'll
now.
approve I'll make a motion to approve it and pulling out the 74 till a further date if staff sees fit that we need to bring that back to us.
Good enough. Any other discussion on that motion?
I do have, yes, so you're at 148, I mean, I'm all for addressing or trying to help out parking downtown.
Right.
But even $150,000 seems like excessive just for a design. That's tremendous.
But it's more than that. I mean, I just learned some things there. It's dealing with all the downtown. For example, he just said the parking lot south of the multi-level, they might be able to re-engineer that and create more parking spaces. That's what I'm hearing. So it is more than just one parking lot. It's re-engineering.
It's re-engineering the parking in downtown.
Yes.
Everything in that box.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to carve out the $75,000 and hold that in reserve and under our direction to approve it won't be spent. Okay? Any other discussion on that motion? All right, so let's have a roll call.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
No.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Okay. So now we'll go back to the original motion that has the $75,000 now in reserve. So can we get them?
Yeah, I just want to say this has been on the agenda this has been on the commissioner's back burner for years. and I'm appreciative that this is finally coming to a head and we're addressing this. And this is nothing new to any of us. So I'll make we're doing roll call or motion to approve.
In just a second.
Okay.
I don't think we don't need it. We've already got a motion to approve the amended.
That's right. We've already got a motion.
It's just amended, so now. One other thing I'd like to say before, we had some discussions, obviously the partnership building and the Center for the Arts building is right next to that live stream parking lot. Have we had any discussions anymore?
Not yet.
But they're
Have we
on
talked to, it's on the radar to
Okay.
try to work in, because,
Yeah, because
a big
that-
part of that area
that's
is,
huge
we
for-
have the city property, the partnership building,
Right.
we have the city property.
I saw
to
that in the map.
south
Thank
by
you for
the
bringing
gas
that up.
department, and then the live stream owns that parcel kind of right in the middle of the world there. So we will have some conversation with them about how we can weave
Yeah, since they moved
maximizing their
most of their
properties as
stuff
well.
down south, they're not quite the footprint downtown that they were.
But,
so
yeah,
they-
but over the years, we talked about, re-engineering the whole thing and giving
Yeah,
them the same
that would
number of
just be good
spaces
to-
and,
It's good timing to
yeah,
to
close the
have those
roads.
discussions. Okay, so we've got an amended motion on the floor, so we'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
What is the vote for?
This is for the $148,000 for the study.
No.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Okay, would somebody please introduce item 5B5?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a construction services agreement with DB Civil Construction LLC to demolish and replace the existing parking lot at the Mispah-Simmons apartment complex and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, I believe.
I pulled this. I'm not opposed to this, but should this have gone to the CRA board prior to coming here?
Yeah, no, the city owns this property.
Okay. So the CRA, because we're spending CRA money, it didn't need to go
It's
to
CDBG.
Well, there's some CRA money being spent of $35,225 from the CRA funds.
Probably technically under that amount, I have the authority to do it.
Okay.
so.
All right. I just wanted to double check and make sure we didn't need to go back. So
Got a question, please, Ed. Was this CDBG grant for this year or one from prior? Do you know how?
I think that was
long ago?
20, was that 23? Because I think our application for 24 was failed. It didn't get approved. So this is previous year.
Okay.
Any other comments?
just for future reference, I know we just had a CRA meeting, so for future things, if we can, let's try to get those things on the agenda for, I know it's within your spending authority, but
Absolutely.
we had one last meeting and it could have been on that, so thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. We'll move on now to public hearings and non-routine items. Second reading of ordinances, 6A 1, 2, and 3. Would somebody please introduce that?
6A1, 2, and 3 to be read by title only.
6A1, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 10.02 plus minus acres, being generally located west of U.S. Highway 27 and north of El Presidente Boulevard, lying in Section 25, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, providing that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, providing that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the City of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 3, and providing an effective date. 6A2, an ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the City of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 10.02 plus minus acres from Lake County urban low density to Leesburg general commercial for property generally located west of U.S. Highway 27 and north of El Presidente Boulevard, lying in Section 25, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6A3, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 10.02 plus minus acres from Lake County PUD to Leesburg PUD Planned Unit Development to allow a self-service storage facility for property generally located west of U.S. Highway 27 and north of El Presidente Boulevard, lying in Section 25, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you, Andy.
Yes, sir.
Grant, if you would swear in everyone, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. And we'll go ahead and get everybody for the various second reading and first reading items. So if you are here tonight to speak on item 6A3, which is the Blue Ridge Storage rezoning, 6A6, which is the Lake Brighthurst rezoning, or 6B2, the Blunt Birchmire rezoning, first reading. If you would, please stand and raise your right hand so we can get you all sworn in. All right. Do you swear or affirm that all testimony you'll give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you all. All right, Mr. Mayor, we're ready.
Okay, so Candy, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anna, if you would scroll to the maps, please. So that will show you the location of the property. It is to annex and provide a comprehensive plan, future land use designation on the property, and also to rezone it to commercial. The area is to be used for many warehouse and storage uses, and as stated before, the property is generally located on the west side of US 27 and just north of El Presidente Boulevard near the Spanish Village neighborhood. The proposal for the small-scale comprehensive land use plan is to change the future land use designation from Lake County Urban Low to City of Leesburg General Commercial. The second case, which is the rezoning, the planned unit development, is to amend the current zoning from Lake County PUD to City of Leesburg PUD. It's a small planned unit development. Under the PUD requirements, the proposal consists of permitted uses such as indoor self-storage, outdoor self-storage, one apartment for the management security use. Where the PUD is not covering certain items in the development process, C3 highway commercial development standards will apply. We are applying the dark sky lighting. We are applying 50-foot setbacks, 20 feet on the front, so 50-foot front and rear, 20 feet on the sides. 35% of the property must be an open space. The landscape buffer and a fence is required adjacent to any property that is zoned residential. The maximum height is 3 floors. We are applying architectural standards as required for the development, but this development came to us with a development you can probably discern from the name of the project, which is Blue Ridge Storage. So if you look at their color scheme, they came prepared. The site access is shown on the site plan along US 27. Lake County did not indicate that any roadway improvements would be necessary for this project. The other PUD requirements include prohibition on the use of St. Augustine grass. Drought-tolerant grasses such as Bahia, Bermuda, and zoysia are required. And the development must be on city water and wastewater, so there will be no wells or septic systems on the property. I believe J.B. Bricklemeyer is here to present for the applicant. We did have some changes that came up a little bit later. to the development standards. The maximum height shall not exceed 3 stories or 35 feet. Under Section 9 open space, there's a request to allow the fencing which currently exists on the property to be chain link, as there are significant spatial barriers of 250 feet to the residential areas. I think you can see on the map that if you're in a residential area, you're looking at water, swamp, and trees. It seems like fencing there would be superfluous, except for safety. So there was a clarification that the fence on the west side is not required to be opaque. There is currently a chain link fence along the southern border. The clarification is is what is required to make the fence opaque is also requested. So I'll let Mr. Brinkelmeyer speak to what they wanted.
Hang on one second. Any questions for Candy? Anybody? Okay. Thank you, Candy.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. J.B. Brickelmeyer, 17032 Johns Lake Drive, Winter Garden, Florida. The reason for the request to not have to put the fencing opaque, as Candy stated, is we're significantly far back. If you can see on the map, the uplands is much closer to 27. We're significantly separated by both trees and the wetlands area there from the residential. You really can't, you're probably going to be able to see the top of the building. That's about it. So making the fence opaque, which would have been a pretty significant cost to my client, really is pointless, and that's the reason we had requested that particular change.
Any questions? Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this? No public comment? Any comments from the commissioners?
No.
Roll call on item 6A1.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. So now we're,
Roll call.
you just need a roll call,
Also,
6A2.
Does it need a separate motion?
Or
Yes.
Separate motions for each of the items.
Make a motion to approve 6A2.
Second.
do we have any public comment on that item? I don't want to get out of order. Yeah. No public comment? Any other commission comment? Roll call.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve 6A3.
Second.
Do we have any public comment on the PUD for this? No public comment?
Do we need to modify it with the fencing?
What's that?
Do we need to modify it with their fencing requirement?
I think it's
Was it in there?
I think it's in there. Yeah, there was a comment about modifying for the fence to remove the opaque requirement on the southern portion there. So if you want to add that into the motion, that would be good.
But it's in the PUD.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Was that already changed in the
It was
PUD?
revised.
That change has been made, right? In the PUD? I thought it was.
That's what I thought.
I may have missed it.
So I was trying to move along.
What's that?
I was trying to move along.
Grant, well, if we.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I just found it.
It's fine.
All
It's in
right.
there.
I think it's fine.
It's in there. It's in there. Okay, so we have a motion?
We have a second.
We have a second?
Second.
We got a second on it? Okay. Roll call?
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. All right, would someone please introduce item 6A, 4, 5, and 6?
6A, 4, 5, and 6 to be read by title only.
6A4, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 208.5 plus minus acres, being generally located east of County Road 33 and south of Lake Bright Street and west of County Road 33 and south of Desert Lane, lying in Section 3, Township 21 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, provided that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, provided that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the city of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, provided that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 3, and providing an effective date. 6A5, an ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 208.5 plus minus acres from Lake County Rural to City of Leesburg Estate Residential for property generally located east of County Road 33 and south of Lake Bright Street, and west of County Road 33 and south of Desert Lane, lying in Section 3, Township 21 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6A6, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning of approximately 208.5 plus minus acres from Lake County A agricultural to City of Leesburg PUD planned unit development for property generally located east of County Road 33 and south of Lake Bright Street, and west of County Road 33 and south of Desert Lane, as legally described in Section 3, Township 21 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Approval?
Yes, sir.
Second. All right. Candy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Candy Harper, Deputy Director of Planning and Zoning. I forgot to say that first time around. This is 208 acres. It is south on County Road 33. It is on both sides of County Road 33. The proposal is to allow for future development of new neighborhoods consisting of 518 detached single-family units. The gross density is 2.48 dwelling units per acre. For the first case, the large-scale comprehensive plan, the request is to change the future land use designation from Lake County Rural to City of Leesburg Estate Residential. The planned unit development, the rezoning, is to amend the current zoning from Lake County Agriculture to City of Leesburg planned unit development. Again, this is 518 detached single-family residential units. The density is 2.48 dwelling units per acre. No other uses are permitted in this proposal. The lot sizes will be 50 feet and 60 feet. Those are the widths. The square footage of the lots will be 6,000 or 7,200 square feet. The house sizes are 1,600 to 1,700 square feet for each respective lot size. There's a minimum 2-car garage for each unit. 2 floors is a maximum height. Design and architectural standards are required. There is a 35% of the property must be an open space. Again, dark sky lighting is required. 2 trees in each yard are required. The use of Bahia, Bermuda grass is required in place of St. Augustine grass. A 25-foot landscape buffer is required along the entirety of the property boundaries. A fence is required along the entirety of the County Road 33 frontage. It can be a split rail fence or an opaque fence, and fencing is required along the remaining areas of the development as well. Site access is shown on the site plan. Do you have that? Site access is shown on the site plan along County Road 33 with the applicable requirements for turn lanes and decel accel lanes from Lake County. These access points shall be boulevard-type roadways, which have a landscape median of at least 8 feet in width and enough lane area to allow emergency vehicles to maneuver. The recreational requirements include a minimum of 103,000 square feet, which is 2.4 acres, and divided into different areas for use by the residents, one on each side of 33. There is a requirement for establishing trails around the larger retention ponds, which is seen on the site plan. And finally, there is phasing or an expiration clause, which requires that the development move forward with substantial commencement within 4 years, or the property has an automatic reversion to the RE1 zoning standard, which is 1 unit per acre. All developments must be on city water and wastewater, so there will be no wells or septics on this property. It is noted that the Planning Commission voted to recommend denial. I believe Ben Snyder of Hanover Homes is here to represent the case.
Any questions for Candy while she's there?
And Andrew McCown as well.
Okay.
Candy, I thought there was discussion before on landscape buffers versus fence, and you just said it's being fenced all the way around. Is that correct?
That's a note that Mr. Miller left with me.
Okay.
Yes, there is a requirement for a fence.
Thank you, Commission. Andrew McCown with GAI Consultants, representing Hanover Land Company. If you could pull up our presentation, we'll go into a little bit more detail. Is there a Candy? So just to orient everyone, this project is along CR 33, where a number of other Hanover projects have come across your desks in the past couple of months and years. So you're very familiar with Hanover at this point in the quality work that they do and have done in your town to date. Some details about the project specifically: it is composed of 2 separate halves, one on each side of the road. On the east side is approximately 81 acres, and on the west side, approximately 121 acres. It is proposed to be annexed, as it is in unincorporated Lake County, and it is in the Leesburg ISBA. And I do want to pause here for a moment because I know there has been some discussion about the role of the ISBA and the non-contiguity question. To give you a planner explanation, I'm happy to let Mr. Watson give a legal explanation. But the planner explanation is that since you have this ISBA, you have a little more leeway in how you annex properties and the contiguity of properties to existing city lands. There are many examples across the city of non-contiguous properties existing in the city, but existing within the ISBA. And although there are fewer now, since you have been annexing some of those areas, particularly in the here in the south of the city, we are proposing to go from rural county to the rural estate or neighborhood estate, and the agriculture to PD. So this is the site plan. It is approximately 208.5 acres with a gross density of 2.48 units per acre. Maximum of 518 units is proposed in the PD, although the strict future land use density at 4 units per acre would allow significantly more than that. We are only requesting 518 out of that. All single-family detached with a mix of lot sizes between 50 and 60 feet. And you can see the breakdown, a maximum of 405 50-foot lots and 113 60-foot lots minimum. We have oriented the 60-foot lots so that they abut the residential areas to the north in particular, and 95.4 acres of open space and recreation. That constitutes about 47% of the site. Zooming in a little bit more, you can see this is the west side
I do want to point out another question that was raised is this area right here, which is access that we are showing into the construction landfill to the west. We are allowing for access into that property. This is, as you can see from the phase line here, this is a later phase of the project. So the first phase would be up here to the north, and then down here would be the second phase and a later phase. So at least in the interim, there would be no interruption of the existing access, which is an unmaintained right-of-way. We would come in for a vacation permit after the adoption of the PUD, eventually to vacate that road, and we would be providing an alternate access to that property for the future. The other side of County Road 33 is the other half of the project, 237 units, also in two phases, with the first phase being the southern portion, and then the second and later phase being the upper portion. And in both cases, the central amenity would be in the initial phase of that portion. And as you can see, we've located, to the greatest extent possible, we've located the retention areas to the exterior to provide additional buffers. As far as the open space plan, you can see the areas that are buffered with the 25-foot minimum PUD buffer would be along the north, the west adjacent to the landfill, and then along the north here, with the retention areas also providing buffer. As I said before, we've got 95.4 acres of open space, as you see in this breakdown, which is 47% of the site. This is just a look at a typical amenity center from previous projects. And then the proposed home elevations, these would be some of the 50-foot lots, and then 60-foot lots. Traffic, we have Iman here from Traffic Mobility Consultants who can speak to traffic.
Good evening. Iman Saidi, Traffic and Mobility Consultants, 3101 McGuire Boulevard. As of today, we have only completed the transportation facility analysis, which is done for the comprehensive plan amendment at this level. We are still in the process of doing the detailed traffic study for the site, which will go into the depth of the turn lanes and the intersection improvements and any off-site mitigation requirements. So that has not been identified yet. But the initial study showed only some segments on the turnpike that will be deficient in the future, but that's a tollway facility, obviously. That's taken care of by the Florida Turnpike Authority. Otherwise, that's all we have for now. But again, we'll be doing the full analysis. We are in the process right now, but we don't have any results as of today.
Questions?
So there are a couple of changes to the ordinance that you have that we are proposing. The ordinance that you have has a lot depth of 120 feet, and we are proposing to reduce that to 115. And then likewise, the rear setback in your version of the ordinance is 18 feet, and we're proposing 15 feet. And that was those are the two changes that we're proposing at this time.
Questions
so with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Just curious, what was the basis of this change here? Of the change on lot depth and setbacks?
Ben?
I can probably guess, but
Ben Snyder, Hanover Land Company, 605 Commonwealth Avenue. The lot depth allows us a little bit more flexibility when working around wetlands and a couple of pinch points. I mean, our goal is to have 120 be the vast majority of the lots, but when we come up to a wetland and have the flexibility to go to 115, it allows us not to impact it or lose a lot. And then the rear setback is just a few more feet to make a nice big deep ranch house. That's the type that would actually max out that depth, and it's a very popular plan that we build, and most builders build a 40 or 50 by like 75 foot deep pad.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Questions for the developer? We'll move on to public comment. Do we have any public comment on this? Nope.
Got the little laser things.
Down there. Right.
On the show.
How do you use that? Can I put the map up on the land thing? It shows the layout of the. Okay. Where's the laser?
There you go. That's good.
Okay, thank you. I'm James Revels. I live at 3430 Desert Lane. I also own the adjoining land, 3330 Desert Lane. I got roughly maybe a little over 1,000 foot of fence line that joins right at phase 1 right there. That would be at their northern border on the west side of the highway. Okay. I brung some pictures. One on the picture, okay, that there shows my hog pen that is located on my back fence line. In the foreground of the hog pen is the trees. The trees are sparse, okay. That is the property where they want to put a house right there, okay. Picture 2, the tape measure is hooked on my back fence. It measures over 12 inches to the wire of my hog pen, and as you notice that it goes down, it can go 8 to 9, 10 inches, okay, away from the back fence. Picture 3. This picture shows a post in the center of my hog pen. If you notice at the top of it, it's square, it's a 4x4. And if you notice as it goes down, it gets smaller and it gets round. This is from hogs rubbing on it. It took a great deal of time to do that. Okay, that shows that pen's been there a long time. This picture here shows in a hog pen, a hog will go to one corner of the pen, and if you see the distortion on the ground, that is frankly crap and pee, okay? A hog will go to one corner, okay? And anybody, and they're going to put a house right behind that within what, 30, 35 feet? These people are going to have to smell this. And along with hog pens, it comes with flies and blowflies. It's not a nice atmosphere to be living in, and if it rains for a few days, it gets worse. This one shows my wife, the hog raising up on the pen at her hand if someone comes to the back of the fence. This one shows me from the back of the fence. I am reaching into my hog pen. It'd be easy for a child or a human to come walking and put their hand in the back of my hog pen, okay? That's 6. Number 7 shows me I had a banana in my hand. I am represented as a child or an adult reaching in my pen. If you notice my fingers, my wife pointed out that my fingers was in the front of that hog's jaws. I didn't realize it, okay? I snatched my hand back before it clamped down, okay? I got great concern about it because if someone gets their fingers decapitated, their hand decapitated, or anything hurt, it's going to bring the reliability down on me, and I'm going to have a lawsuit on me, okay? Now, I do not need that. I bought this land for agricultural purposes, and I see this being eroded away from me, okay? And I thank you for your time. I got more to say, but the time.
Thank you.
Right.
Evening. Hi. William B. Robertson. We live at 23404 County Road 33, Groveland. Mailing address there, just south of Oklahoma, as you know. And we're affected by this greatly if it goes through, if you all approve this. Our entire north boundary, which is about, well, it is 2,161 feet, north boundary of our property, is Phase 3 south boundary, the entire thing. And we're going to be looking at it right there, touching our property and right in our face the whole time, which we're not crazy about. So that's why we were talking about before, the entire time we've been talking about requiring them to have a 10-foot concrete wall, a real wall. Much like they do like in the villages where those people live up there and like that so much. And it would, I believe it would cover up the view of them from us and us from them kind of thing, and would serve to privatize it a little bit and let them have their way of living up there. We've lived out in the country there for quite a long time. We purchased the property back there in 1987, and we've lived there for a long time. And we're not real crazy about moving into city life in that respect, in that way, to look at homes that are that close together. It just doesn't match anything out there. A number of people have said if that comes in, they're going to be moving away. They're going to sell their places and leave. Well, to get on with this, though, I know we've talked about the concrete wall and everything in that respect, but we're not against development, but we are for responsible development. We took this issue to our attorney over in Claremont, Meredith Nagel, spoke with her about what's going on there, and she's not real crazy about it. She took a look at the FDOT report that y'all sent this off. I think this last meeting y'all said that it was going to be sent off to Tallahassee, and she made some statements about it. That she said that FDOT doesn't think that this is a responsible action. It's a kind of a thing. It's outside of the safety margin for the roadways in the area. The study that they did looks at areas within 3 miles around there, and it greatly affects. Well, I've got a copy of the report. Have any of you read the report yet? Have you looked at the report yourselves? Have you? Okay. Well, it shows here in the summary, it says, based on department's level of service and trip generation analysis, the proposed amendments potential traffic increase would impact overcapacity roadway segments in 2022 and 2045, the segments that they listed. And it says that the facility is projected to operate overcapacity through the future of year 2045 scenario. And so it says, therefore, the proposed amendment, what the city's talking about allowing this to take place, has the potential to impact the state highway system significantly. So that's their statement there. The front, let's see here. Well, they went as far as to, they had a graph on the inside and showed the level of service and that sort of thing like that, as I'm sure you all took a look at. And it shows what things are looking like here. And they shoot for a level of at least a D level of service is what they look for. And this it doesn't even meet that. It doesn't even meet it. So it's either an E or an F is what it is what it looks like to me. And so it doesn't look like it's going to really work out as far as what it's going to do to the roadways for quite a long time, and especially until they do make changes. As we all know, typically road changes and upgrades and things like that come after places have been built, when they can see what the impact is and that kind of thing. And so in the meantime, it's going to become a very, very dangerous place to be. I don't think they've even done their real traffic analysis and traffic study yet. I believe the gentleman had said, and it didn't look like they're really doing their homework in that respect. Let's see here. I know that they had talked about having this setback, changing their setback from an 18-foot to a 15-foot setback and to change the depth of 120 to 115, which brings it even closer to all the people around, like the hogs and things like that, which isn't going to work out real well. I'm sure it's so to their advantage and kind of thing. I know in the phase that's north of us, there are no wetlands at all there. I believe all the wetlands are over on the east or on the west side across 33. So perhaps in some areas there, it might work for them over there to do something like that. But I think that, but I did submit one photo for y'all here, and this is the result of an accident that took place on County Road 33 and Austin Merritt Road that comes through Bridges Road right there at that corner. One of the most dangerous intersections in the entire county, we've understood. And those are the 3 deaths that occurred there on December 2023, in December 2023. We don't want to see that taking place anymore, and would hope that y'all would think twice about this before you might feel responsible for something like that taking place by authorizing something like this when the roadways can't handle the traffic it is. You go into Oklahoma in the mornings right now and you're waiting for nearly a half-mile line all the way back so far early in the morning, and it's like that, and it's going to get worse. So, I mean, the villages here, thanks for the villages. It's been great for the majority of the economy, but it also affects roadways, and this 518 homes is going to greatly affect the roadways even more. So I appreciate if y'all would pay attention to that and turn this thing down. Is what I'd like for you to do.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Other public comment?
My name is Tyler Robertson. I live at 10504 County Road 707 in Webster. My father just spoke, and one of his neighbors just spoke, and the City Council needs to think thoroughly about pumping the brakes on this. The amount of deaths that we've witnessed on County Road 33 and around 27 over the years, it's where I grew up. It really is shocking, and the City Council needs to realize that by authorizing this, you're just going to add more to the death toll. And does the City Council want to know and to also realize, once the lawsuits start coming in, once people realize, the people who die in the car accidents, the fatalities, the families who realized who authorized this, who authorized to overload even more so the roadways that are already overloaded. So you send it off to the state. What was their response? We see there's an FDOT report that says that we're already going to be way overloading it way into the future. So that's what we're asking for, is for this development to be stopped, reconsideration paid towards getting the roadways improved before this development is put through. We're going to see more and more of these. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Can I speak just again?
Let's
just for a second.
let any other public comment.
Okay, I just say if I wanted to.
We've got some other people that would like to speak.
My name's Gerald Robinson. I live at 3520 Desert Lane. On the map up there where it says main entrance, where that entrance is, looks like it's about a couple hundred feet, well, maybe not even that, 120 feet from my back corner of my property. So my property borders phase 1 on the north side. The block wall, I firmly agree with. If other communities can have it, you're going to have, figure, close to 1,000 people living in there when it's done. Children are going to be in that area. They're going to go right over into Mr. Revel and my property. I almost guarantee it. We're going to have to chase somebody out at some point or another if there's not a block wall. Excuse me. As far as traffic goes, I had to alter my work hours before I retired because the traffic on 33 was so bad at 7 o'clock in the morning that I would be late for work. And I worked in Leesburg. So I had to leave a half hour before my normal scheduled time just to get to work on time. Something I noticed from the last meeting to this one is they've made the lot sizes bigger, but they haven't reduced the homes. So it's going to be just as congested as it was before. During the construction period, there's going to be dump trucks, there's going to be the workers in there's vehicles in and out, and because there's no water and sewer, they're going to have to run a water and sewer line down the side of 33 to get it there. So that's going to be construction equipment, more workers, and the traffic on that road is going to be terrible. During construction, those heavy trucks coming in and out are going to degrade the road even worse, which was just repaved some years ago. After construction, there's 518 units maximum, it says. So figure 2 cars in each unit. Going to work in the mornings, you just added another 1,000 cars in that concentrated little area that is going to be leaving at the same time. Next thing I have is where it says Phase 1, the different colored lots along the top of the hill there. That's for the 2-story houses. Those will be looking over the fence or looking past the brush zone or whatever buffer into our backyards. And so there goes our privacy, our quality of life is degrading while theirs is going up apparently. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other public comment?
Hi, my name is Mario Napa. I live in Legacy of Leesburg, Stony Brook Drive. And I actually wanted to talk about the intersection of Route 33 and 48 and 470. I actually wanted to talk about it with respect to 6B1 and 2, but it applies here as well because this intersection is right on 33, obviously. But this development would clearly put added pressure on that intersection. That's probably the worst intersection in the city right now. I went to the Community Advisory Committee MPO meeting last Wednesday, and Bill Leach, who represents the city of Leesburg, at your request, approached the MPO and said, we need to do something about this intersection. And basically they said, yeah, we know it's bad. And actually, before Bill showed up for the meeting, there was a discussion about this intersection amongst the people there, because they know it's probably the worst intersection in the city. And Michael Wood said, basically, there's no money at this point in time. I guess the Turnpike expansion and the 75 expansion is sucking all the money out of the transportation budget. So there's nothing to pay for improvements on secondary roads, at least not at this time. So I think we're a little ahead of our skis right now. And you can approve development after development, but it's still not going to help the situation as the roads become more and more overcrowded. We need to wait until the infrastructure gets improved so that people don't get hurt on these roads. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, can I add one more thing? How can you approve a development when they haven't finished a traffic impact study, especially on probably one of the worst areas of the city to drive it? I would be amazed if you do that.
Hi, I'm Donna Robinson. I live at 3520 Desert Lane, Groveland, Florida. And I don't like speaking in public, but I want to ask you folks to consider this. We have so much out there, so much quality of life right now. We've got good neighbors. We've not got the hustle and bustle. We don't have cops called out there all the time. We don't have fusses. We don't have quarrels. We have beautiful animals. We moved on a property that was an old orange grove, and we have oak trees so big and so beautiful that is along the fence line that they're going to be cutting on. The other ones on the other side grow right up beside mine on my side. I'm a tree lover, and it's going to make me sick. When they start doing that construction, I'm leaving. I'm not going to live like this. I'm not going to have that in my back door. It was bad enough when I first moved there, and the fire tower was right back there. The person up in the fire tower was constantly watching people down in my yard because we had a swimming pool. There's no privacy. You live all your life, you save your money, you buy property. And I'm watching my time, okay? You buy property because you want quality of life. I worked in the public ever since I moved here in '85. I wanted my privacy. We moved to the middle of our property almost, and now I've got this coming in. They haven't studied the road. They don't know anything about it. They don't sit out there 24 hours a day. I sit out on my back patio and I listen to the traffic. You have no idea. It's awful. The semis that go through there. I mean, they haven't even studied it. So you shouldn't make up your mind until this road thing is considered anyways. I mean, honest, let's be nice about this. The traffic is too much. And I don't have any ill will about any of these people. I understand they're wanting to make money. It's what this world's about right now. But you got to consider the animals that's moved from the villages going our way because they got pushed out over there. And they're going to have to move all those gopher turtles too, and there is a lot out there. God bless you, and thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. Yep.
I just want to suggest something right here, okay? To stop all this, right? Because obviously it's not a good thing. Years ago, my wife and my dad and me, we went out there and we had to bear the burden to buy 5 acres of land and put a house on it. And there's no reason why these people should not do the same thing, okay? It's owned agricultural. And personally, I think this land, if the people wants to sell this land, it needs to be just broke up in 5-acre tracts and sold as agriculture. They want to build a house on it, let them build a house on it, because that will cut down the impact on that road, okay, because of the infrastructure, the way it sits right now, okay? I just want to say that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
And I hope good judgment here, okay? Thank you, and God bless you.
Other public comment? So there was a question about the traffic study. Would you like to address that? That it's not complete, or
Yes, Your Honor, a couple points. So it is very common for, at this stage in the approvals, comp plan, plan unit development, or rezoning, that you don't do a full traffic impact analysis whose primary outcome is determining the specific improvements and mitigation activities that you will do due to your impacts. At this stage in the process, it's very common, and in the city of Leesburg as well, is to provide a study that shows the allocation and capacity of the roadways, and that's what we've done. And the controller seems to have disappeared. And that's what we've done in the example study that was provided for this. Also, in regard to the FDOT letter, which is a letter that the city received in response to the comp plan amendment. And if you read it carefully, these are technical assistance comments. So and when we met with DOT and staff, DOT was very clear that these are not objections. These are not even official comments. These are for technical assistance for the city's use only. And if you look at both the actual comments that were provided, the comments said that the project would increase traffic at the location, obviously. And then the second point was that in 2045, there were some segments of US 27 that would be underperforming. They had to go 3 miles out, outside of the boundary to find a facility that would be failing. And it actually has nothing to do with this project. This project would be a de minimis impact on US 27 traffic, and the traffic, actually the background traffic on US 27, just the natural increases in the traffic in 2045 is what would be causing those segments of 27 to underperform, regardless of whether this project happens or not. So the TIA that would happen at site plan and permitting, those would determine the specific mitigation efforts to the specific intersections and the specific roadway segments that would be required. And I can let Iman chime in also.
Question.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Really for both of you, but you commented on State Road 27. What's the traffic study say about County Road 33? I haven't heard any talk about that, except I've heard intersections are inadequate.
So DOT didn't make any comments about County Road 33.
Just would like to add one more thing. The traffic study that we're doing for the site plan approvals evaluates the impact at project build-out year, which is not 2045. So 2045 is the comprehensive plan horizon year. So that's the difference between the analysis that DOT looked at, which is really a high-level analysis looking out to the year 2045, which is not really the case when we're doing the actual traffic study. And they did recognize that in the meeting that we had last week. And then another thing is, once the zoning is approved, the number of lots may change because they're going to get into the detail engineering, identifying all the drainage and everything. So at that point, we'll know exactly how many units, so that the traffic study will reflect the actual exact number of units, which may not be what's actually shown on the map. So
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
You mentioned that there's going to be an impact.
Hey, you got to come up to the microphone.
Maybe I heard you incorrectly, but I thought you said there was going to be an impact on the turnpike.
Right. Yes. There will be an impact on the turnpike. It's just the turnpike being a toll facility, they kind of take care of their own improvements by the money generated by the tolls. So it's not. We've identified that there will be. Again, this is the study that's showing 2045. So again, we're looking way in the future. We're not looking at the build-out of the project. But in any case, turnpike takes care of their own improvements because of the toll money that's generated.
So what is your professional opinion of County Road 33? I mean, we talk about the turnpike, we talk about 27. My concern is 33.
County Road 33 right now, today it does have capacity. It has capacity to accommodate the traffic in the next, I would say, 10, 15 years. The intersections along County Road 33 will need improvements. I know that for a fact. For example, gentleman mentioned County Road 44 intersection. We've already done another study for a different project further north, and we've done a signal warrant study there that's showing that the signal is warranted, and developers are putting in prop share money towards signalizing that intersection. I would anticipate there will be additional signals warranted along the corridor closer to this development. From my opinion, from other projects that we've done along the corridor. So yes, because again, with the improved traffic, without having a signal, people will have a harder time exiting, especially when you have a two-lane road facility at this point.
Any questions? Are there any more public comments?
I just have the current, Ray Hayden, 35121 Dennis Road, Leesburg. The property has not been annexed into Leesburg yet. it's currently one dwelling unit for 5 acres. And they're pretty much saying if that doesn't work out, we're going to put one dwelling unit on 1 acre. And it's like, what? It should revert back to what the county is. If y'all decide not to annex it, which I would highly recommend, that's a really bad place for a development. But beyond that, Leesburg annexing all these places and everything else is creating the massive problems in traffic. You know about 44. You've heard us, gripe about that for a long time, and it's not getting any better. It is better with the lower speed limits. That's great, but it's still doesn't do anything about the traffic. You only got 2 lanes. That's all there is. 40, 50, whatever the mileage per hour is. It has zero effect, except for maybe there's more cars because they can't go as fast, which is actually better because it's safer if they accidentally touch. But the density of that property, if you decide, I would highly recommend not to annex it, to do this problem, which is just adding to the other problems, you're going to have to deal with the infrastructure of it, which Leesburg shouldn't have to worry about that financial nightmare. But also, if you do turn it down or whatever happens, everything, and it goes back to the county, which it should be the rural place that it is now, and it should be the 5 acres per dwelling house. It should be that, all right? It's just the right thing to do. It was insane when I heard it was going to go back to one acre. Thank you very much for your time.
Any other public comment? Comments from the commissioner?
Yes. Well, let's talk about this this development a little bit on some of the issues, concerns I have. I'm talking about 518 proposed units onto a 2-lane road, which goes back to, as the public has said, arguably the worst intersection in Leesburg at 33, 48, and 470. I mean, it doesn't even have a turn lane there. I mean, the traffic's going to be backed up tremendously. The subdivision, as proposed, would be adjacent to a landfill. And the present access to get to the landfill is through the proposed subdivision. Even if they move somehow and get the landfill a different access, it's still adjacent to the back of the subdivision. Another bad idea. In the county, it would allow 41 units. And they're asking for 517 here tonight, I believe. That's a tremendous difference. Tremendous difference. We have the report from FDOT, which basically is not favorable for this subdivision. I think we should take that in consideration. Is this an age-restricted community?
Say again?
Is age-restricted?
Are you asking about the new?
No, the new community.
It is not.
Okay, it is not.
age-restricted.
Okay, so it's not age-restricted. So at 517 houses, if you got obviously one child, that's 517. If you got 2, that's over 1,000. Going into our school system at Leesburg, that's already at 90% capacity based on the latest Lake County School Concurrency Report. We're going to put another 1,000 students in here? I just think this subdivision it doesn't work all the way around for numerous different reasons. And I really think the commission ought to really consider not annexing this property. If it wants to be developed, let it be developed like it is in the county. 41 units on 5-acre tracts. This 517 is outrageous. And when you factor in all the other concerns about it, it just is a bad design all the way around.
Do we have a public comment back there that someone would?
I thought we closed public comment.
I'm Kathy Ambergy, 1348 Big Oak Lane. When you said something about the landfill, we moved from Mount Dora because the houses are backed up to a landfill, and the smell seeps into the houses every day. And they're going through a
Okay.
whole bunch of problems with that.
Let's not get off on the land, because that is actually construction material. It's not like a dump. You know, it's.
Okay. No, when he said, I was thinking the landfill that's on 516 or 51.
I mean, Jimmy, this one's going
Yeah.
if you don't cut it off.
Right, I hear you.
Yeah.
But it's not a, you know, if you're worried about smell, that's not, this is concrete debris, building construction site
Okay.
debris that will be buried.
Okay, perfect.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As a clarification on the C&D, it is a C&D, and we don't have any plans to develop that phase until the C&D is complete, capped out, and has no more trash going through it. So the project would be developed. We're in communication with that landfill or C&D owner. We understand his timetable. We are totally prepared to wait until it's completely done in order to develop that phase so the residents would not back up to an active C&D. There would be no trash going through an active neighborhood. Anything, you know, any interactions there between the C&D and neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
May I speak for a second?
I'm actually in the field of roofing and construction in that world, and this is Hewitt's landfill that backs up to this property, and Hewitt has a landfill in the Villages. This is a Class 3 landfill. Hewitt's is a Class 3 landfill. And I can tell you, this landfill, if you back off from that road, there's ventilation pipes coming out of the ground sticking above it. That dump caught on fire one time, if memory serves me right, because they kept hauling water in there. It had a subterranean burn, okay? And these pipes are releasing methylene gas in the air because of the decomposition of the up under the ground. Now, it's a Class 3 landfill, but in the roofing industry, when this was being done, I spoke over there in Tavares about this. We were using Karnak, and what it is in this Karnak, it was asbestos. And so I told them, I said, as long as it's entombed in the asphalt, it cannot release air, because they had a above ground burn there in this dump. And I said, when you burn that tar off that asbestos don't burn, and fibers go into the air. So when it comes to smell, I've been in Hewitt landfill in the Villages. You do smell it. Okay?
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Excuse me.
Any other commissioner comments?
Sorry.
We're ready for a roll call on item 6A4.
Commissioner Connell?
No.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
No.
Commissioner Berry? No. Mayor Burry?
No. So, by way of that vote,
Yeah, that's so, yeah, that,
how would you like to handle that?
that makes the other two items moot. With the property not being approved for annexation into the city, then there's no regulations to impose at this point.
Okay.
So those two items are dead.
That moves to item 7.
So let's move to item 6A7. Will someone please introduce it?
Introduced and asked to be read by title only.
Sorry. An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, establishing the Orange Bend Community Development District pursuant to Chapter 190 Florida statutes, providing for authority and power of the district, providing for the Board of Supervisors of the district, providing for the district budget, providing for functions of the district, providing for miscellaneous provisions, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion? Any public comments on, this is the CDD.
7.
This is the CDD.
Yeah.
For Orange Bend.
Any Orange Bend?
I'm Kyle McGee with Protect Rock LLP on behalf of the petitioner for the Orange Bend CDD, and your staff does a great job, so it's been always a pleasure working with you all. I'm just here to answer any questions
Right.
if there are.
Were there questions for, no questions?
Yeah.
We have some public comment, though.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hayden, 35121 Dennis Road, Leesburg, Florida. I'm just wanted to say that I had a nice conversation with Shelley Catcher, I'll just say her name that way, and she agreed that this development will have dark sky lighting requirements as Leesburg is putting into their, I guess, land development regulation. And I'm here just to kind of get that on the record, and I had a nice little conversation with Kyle McGee. I was lucky enough to sit right in front of him, so he agrees that that's been stated. So thank you so much. We'll be working out the HOA docs with Shelley in the future. But thank you so much.
Roll call?
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry? Yes. Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Someone, let's see, where am I going? Page
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'll introduce.
Would someone please?
I'll introduce 6B1 to be read by
There you
title
go.
only.
I've got my pages back. There we go.
An ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 31 plus minus acres from City of Leesburg Industrial to City of Leesburg General Commercial for property generally located south of County Road 48, west of US Highway 27, and east of Haywood Worm Farm Road, lying in Section 14, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
So this is first reading. Do we have a date certain on the second reading?
November 25th.
November 25th will be the second reading on this item. Do we have comments? Anyone?
Okay, I want to address the intersection issue again of Route 33 and 48 and 470. This proposal, I think, is completely unreasonable because you're taking land which is now zoned industrial and you want to convert it to residential. We already have 40,000 homes on the books. We need industrial facilities, we need commercial facilities, we need jobs in the city of Leesburg. We don't need more. You only got 28 seconds there. Is that you shorting me?
Sorry.
We don't need more homes on an area which should not be residential. I believe there was a development that was proposed a year or two ago, and Commissioner Peterson was right in that area. I think they wanted to put half storage units and half residential, and you were against that because you said this area is not good for residential.
And I'm glad you brought that up. That property was had industrial on 2, if not 3 sides, and we had just dealt with some complaints in some residential areas prior to that. So that did, impact my decision there. This one is. It's a tough one, but this one, it does have residential on all 3 sides, residential or light, what I would call light commercial uses. It's not as close to the industrial, and the other reason, this one's different. There's development plans across the street, so it's hard for me to sit here and say, okay, I'll consider one across the street, but I won't consider this one on the highway. And also, my last comment would be, I'm not sure that industrial, the best place for it is on a major road like that. I mean, this area is changing. It's going to go more residential, commercial. And that's not a bad use for it. But I was against the one that was between this property and 33. Because of the industrial on at least 2, if not 3 sides. So that was the difference. I hope that makes a little bit of sense.
Okay, well, I guess that was all. You kind of threw me off now, I guess. Well, I just want to say then that we still need a lot more industrial development and commercial development than we do residential at this time. And, that stretch of road between 27 and 33 is probably the worst stretch of 48 that you could have. And I know you would even request that the 48 be addressed as well by Bill Leach at the MPO meeting.
And that's a county road, and we need the county to widen that road.
But, the thing is, we don't have money. The county doesn't have the money to do anything right now. And if you look at if you look at the MPO website, it's not showing that as at or above capacity. And the reason is they're using data that's 2 years old. We had all the villages being built in the last 2 years, We had all of the construction workers going in and out of the villages over the last 2 years. Now, they're going to do a reassessment in the next 6 months. Then, of course, it'll pop right up to the top of the list, and then something may happen. But we're getting ahead of our skis. Let's just slow down a little bit and let the infrastructure catch up.
Yeah, that's a county road. I would encourage you and others to take your complaints to the county. We need that road widened.
You know, Bill does that as a representative of the city of
But
Leesburg,
those are state,
and I
help
do
me
as
out.
well.
You're on MPO. Those are
Yeah,
state
MPO,
roads.
actually, December 2nd, you're aware of the public forum
Right.
with the MPO, and I assume you will be there.
I will be there.
To voice those, I was going to wait for my comments to talk about that. But you have to understand, everything they do is based on population. It's not based on anticipation. They just don't work that way.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you look at the way the roads are now, they would probably do something. But if they're looking at records and assessments that are like 1 year to 2 years old, it takes time for things to catch up. You know how slow government moves sometimes?
I understand.
So let's just put the brakes on a little bit and let the infrastructure catch up. That's all.
You're on the MPO. Does the MPO cover county roads? I thought it was just state and federal.
No, it's the county.
County roads, well, okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Actually, they don't even deal with the state roads. That's separate.
Right. Okay, where are we here? Someone, let's see. No more public comment on that? I just want to give the public their chance here. Okay, so let's introduce.
Well, Jim and yes.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I would ask, and I understand it's first reading, but we can't keep putting all these residential houses onto 48. I mean, you've got another subdivision coming up here in a month or two. It's going to be another 500 units. There was 248 townhouses, I think, recently approved 3 or 4 months ago behind Publix on the 48. It's about a 1 mile stretch from the intersection of 27 and 48 down to 33, 48, and 470. I mean, that traffic's going to be backed up from intersection to intersection. I mean, between the subdivision that was already approved and this one and the one coming up, you're talking about adding another 1,000 houses to a 1 mile stretch of a 2-lane road that goes to 2 different intersections. We can't keep adding this. And I understand the road situation, that it's county road, all this stuff, but we don't have to approve this to put this traffic on there. And I understand it's first reading, so I'll just leave it at that. Just my 2 cents for food for thought.
Any other comments?
Excuse me.
All right. Would someone please introduce, what is that, 6B?
Two. I'll introduce 6B2 to be read by title only.
An ordinance, excuse me, of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 31 plus minus acres from City of Leesburg CIP Commercial Industrial Plan to City of Leesburg PUD Planned Unit Development to allow for a mixed-use development for property generally located south of County Road 48, west of U.S. Highway 27, and east of Haywood Worm Farm Road, lying in Section 14, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
All right. Do you want to hear from the petitioner on this?
Just first reading, I mean, but.
Are y'all okay on that, or? Okay. Do we have any public comment on this?
Lisa Hayden again, 35121 Dennis Road. I was just wondering why there's no number of units referenced on this. It's just saying mixed-use development?
Well, it's being proposed for 248 units, and the commercial mixed use is about maybe 2 buildings of potentially up to 20,000 square feet total. It's mainly a subdivision, and they with a little bit of commercial mixed in, so it appears like it's a mixed use, but it's really a subdivision.
Okay, did yeah, I'm sorry, I only have this, but thank you so much for that clarification. I didn't realize, so 200 units or something.
248, I believe.
Does the petitioner want to speak to this?
I think we're okay at this
Okay.
time unless you have any.
Okay, specific questions, anybody have? Okay, all right, so we'll hear this again on November 25th for second reading. Would someone please?
I'll introduce 6C1, A, B, and C to be read by title only.
Yeah.
6C1A, resolution of appreciation from the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, to the City of Troy, Alabama, for assistance provided during recovery from Hurricane Milton and providing an effective date. 6C1B, resolution of appreciation from the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, to the Scottsboro Electric Power Board, Scottsboro, Alabama, for assistance provided during recovery from Hurricane Milton and providing an effective date. 6C1C, resolution of appreciation from the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, to Keys Energy Services, Key West, Florida, for assistance provided during recovery from Hurricane Milton and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Yeah, just as a note, I would ask Al just to kind of give you a brief overview how important it is and how lucky we are to have these relationships where when your area is impacted, these guys get on the road and come help. And it's the same thing our guys.
Yeah, so typically for us here in Leesburg, we're typically recipients of such resolutions coming from other places where we have gone out and helped. And I think probably for the first time in forever, our history, you know, something pretty significant, we were the recipients of mutual aid instead of providing the mutual aid. And it's just kind of normal standard operating procedure that when another municipal utility helps out the other one, we use our legislative authority to pass a formal resolution that thanks the other utility for coming and taking time away from their community to help us dig out from the storm. And in this case, we were lucky enough to have Keys Energy, the City of Troy, Alabama, and the City of Scottsboro, Alabama, also providing us utility assistance. So upon your passage of these, I assume you'll all pass the vote to the resolutions. We'll make a presentation back to those other utilities.
We're very thankful for it. So we just have a roll call for their approval.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry? Yes. Commissioner Connell's not here. Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Mayor Brady?
Yes. All right. So we have informational reports, which there's none. City attorney items.
No reports this evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, sir.
City manager items.
I have two items that I wanted to list on the agenda. I'm going to start with item 9B. It's a little simpler. If you all recall, we were going to be awarded from Florida Department of Environmental Protection a state revolving fund loan in the amount of $19.8 million. That's a little bit of a misnomer because the revolving fund doesn't require payback of the $19.8 million. It's federal grant money that's come to the state, and the state's promulgating it to different communities to make utility improvements that improve environment. Initially, as we've gotten in the final agreements and such that we wanted to bring to your attention, this $19.8 million was sought to assist and defray some of the expenses that we've had with the canal, or not the canal, rather the Turnpike Treatment Plant expansion going from the $4.5 million to the 6 MGD level. But honestly, we're kind of, I don't know if a whistleblower is the right word or not, but as we were reviewing the document, we felt a little bit odd the way the document was written. It's very broad, forgiving parameters, and really not a specific mention of the plant. And then it had some steps about engineer, design, and we just kind of had this sneaking suspicion internally between Cliff and myself. Does the state understand that, you know, we're about 95% done with our project? So as we kind of probed and sought information on this, the state capitulated and said, yeah, that, you know, do you guys have anything else that the money could be used for? And our response is, well, as a matter of fact, we do. And so we don't want to walk away from the free money, obviously. because I was going to start to get really super creative with 20 million. We redo this and shift this around. But so in the spirit of just making sure we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's, we now are in the gist to rescope that agreement and provide some other projects. So ultimately, where we think we'll shift off to is to make some improvements at the canal plant. There's some things that we can do over there with aeration, some of the retention, or not the retention, but some of the holding ponds for the reuse water. And there's a couple of things over there. The plant is working, but in the spirit of the agreement, which is making improvement to infrastructure that improves environment, we can do some things over at the canal plant. And then we also have some lift station issues. Not that they're issues, again, but things that are preemptive where we can get more generator capacity into different lift stations. So when these type of events like we just dealt with Milton come around, we don't have to play the lift station rodeo game as much. So we are in the process now putting together a work list. We'll get that back to DEP. There'll be engineering involved. So this one will kind of start more from step one with, and as you go through that agreement, there was part of that $20 million that was allotted for professional services. So we'll be starting out with probably, upon approval of this, it'll come again. The way the body approved this resolution back a few months ago was you gave the mayor the authority to execute the agreement. He actually executed that agreement, and we tore it up after he executed it. So he'll execute another agreement, then DEP will, with a new exhibit that has these type of projects on it with estimated costs. When that's approved, we'll send that. When that list is compiled by us, we'll have the mayor sign it, or it may leak into next year, so whoever the mayor may be at that time. And then we'll move into the same type of process for a design bid build. We'll bring back construction designs from engineering firms. You'll approve that. We'll do a design, then we'll go back to construction. So this will be coming back and forth to you, but the purpose of this is to say we're going to shift gears. It's not going to replenish, but to make other improvements in the system which are needed. Any questions?
All in.
With the environmental concerns, issues of the federal government, we have, I didn't even know this till the last couple of years, we have areas in the city that are not connected to our sewer system. We have areas in the city that are not connected to our sewer system. I thought we did. I hope I'm wrong.
I mean, I don't.
I guess all I was saying was just a suggestion to help be sure we need to
I'm
take
going to
this
say
money.
probably on the broad spectrum, yeah, there probably a couple of septic tanks out there still.
Oh, okay. I thought it was more than that.
Probably
Okay.
in outer areas.
I was just.
I don't know. I don't know if those septic tanks rise to the level of needing to spend this money to get those folks off septic. I think we got bigger issues with lift station maintenance.
Okay.
And,
There was no
and
agenda
plant
there. There was no
issues.
criticism. I was just
Gotcha.
thinking out loud. If we, and it was just an angle to be sure we get this money is where I was going.
No,
with
so
that.
well, and so hence the shift of gears. We want to ensure that we're getting the money, and we're just going to shift it now to do projects that we're kind of kicking the can down the road on. Now we can bring that to the forefront and make a significant impact in the system.
Just for educational purposes for me, but the entire commission, what percentage of the city is on city sewer? I mean, you're implying.
99.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that. I did not know that. Okay.
Candy's dying to say something, and I can't read her mind.
You'll need to enunciate your face a little better. We just went through all of the properties lying currently within the city of Leesburg, and we were charged with finding septic tanks under certain conditions for one of the comments we got back for the comprehensive plan. And I sat with GIS personnel. There are none.
What about commercial?
We weren't charged with that.
Okay. And there's no agenda here. I'm just trying to learn
No,
something.
and I understand that. But if you come into the city, well, first of all, if you want to develop along a corridor, Lake County is going to tell you to come to the city. And we're going to tell you annex, and we're going to cause you to be general commercial. And at that point, you're going to have to connect to our services. So if there is old commercial out there that we weren't charged with studying, it's a possibility, but at this late date,
I'll stop right there. And that was the basis of my question. I'm aware of some, so, but enough said. Okay, thank you very
sure.
much.
You're welcome.
So more on that to come. The other issue I want to talk to you about a little bit was the surplus of lot update. We've kind of been through a couple of different processes, and we've continued to have some requests from for donation of lots to different organizations. You okay there?
You got a cramp?
All right. But in it, I wanted to get, so this is a non-action item, but I essentially wanted some direction from the commission on how you'd like us to proceed, if at all. So in your packets, we put together a lot inventory, and there's three sheets on it. Again, this is divided. It shows all the lots that we own, with all key number, rough address, and ownership, because some of the lots are owned by the city, some are owned by the CRA. I brought this matter before this body because most of the lots are, actually it's almost an even split, but I wanted to start with this body and get your direction and then move from there. So we will have to go back to the CRA when we consider other CRA stuff. I think Commissioner Cannell asked during these discussions how much we've spent on these lots. So you see some big numbers there. Mind you, those aren't annual numbers. Right. Some of these lots we've had an inventory for 20 years, and we've perpetually had to cut the grass over time. So that's a cumulative number. That doesn't mean, like, for example, that first one on 715 that we spent $27,000 this year on cutting the grass. We've had that lot in inventory for a long time. And then acreage size. A little bit different in terms of process since Mr. Watson's come on board. Before we donate these now, we do a little bit more title work, and we do some advertising, which are requirements before city inventory or surpluses are sold. So I don't know how many lots are on that list, 20, 30 or so. The yellow ones indicate that those lots have been researched by Grant and his firm, and those lots are ready for some type of action if you so choose. So it doesn't mean you have to get rid of them, doesn't mean you have to donate them, doesn't mean you have to sell them, but they are ready. So for the first two lots on the first one is ready, the second one's not. So if it's highlighted, it's ready. So that's our inventory list and the status of it. The second sheet is a list of inventory, and I think this has been asked by commissioners, past and present. What have we done with lots in the past? So the second list shows a list of inventory lots that the city has either, we show what the lot, the resolution will refer back to the lot that we gave. So this list doesn't, but it shows the action when we took it, how we took all of them by resolution, and then what organization received the lot, and then we mentioned whether it's donated or sold. And then the final chart on there is we have it kind of, again, one of the reasons I'm here is because the staff continues to get questions or requests from different organizations throughout the community on donating lots to different not-for-profits. And so that list is kind of the current up-to-date list from the various organizations around the community who've requested a lot. We have not processed the request. It's kind of been sitting in abeyance as we consider how to move forward on this. So, again, there's a number of different ways we can do this. We can donate, we can sell, we can hold on to the lot. There's probably a few lots on this list. The first one is an example, 1111 Beecher Street. That's owned by the city. That's the old Dabney pool site, and it's an acre. That's probably a lot that we would want to keep in our inventory. There's some lots in and around Berry Park that are on this list that again are larger in size. You can kind of tell once they leak over into the 1 acre site, over 1 acre, those are probably the larger ones that you may want to retain. And then, for example, the one lot on County Road 468, it's 5 acres, or 5.7 acres. That's the remaining property that's around the resource center. So really just looking for your direction on how you'd like us to move forward.
Comments?
I'll take the lead. I want to get rid of these damn things as fast as possible. I don't care if we sell them, donate them. I just want to get them off our books. That's like, it just makes no sense, except for if we want to identify some that we have possible uses for, I'm fine with land banking that. That makes sense. Otherwise, I say let's move them out. And I know I created some controversy last time wanting to sell them, but that's because we were just spinning our wheels trying to donate them. And I'll support anything to get these off our books. I'll donate them to the right people. If that doesn't work, put them up for sale. But I say get them off our books, eliminate the expenses, except for the ones that we have possible uses for.
My concern, please, if I would add, I agree as far as, the list has been on for some time if you look at the years in which these lots have been sitting. My concern is the process and how we allocate, how we determine who receives the lots. And until we put that process in place, I think we're still going to be going around. Because even if we sell, how do you determine who you're going to sell to? Do you make bids, the highest bidder, 4 or 5 come through? We're still back at round and round. If you do nonprofits, if you have 3 or 4 nonprofits asking for the same property, how do you choose? You say first come, first serve, but with our advertising, do we need to do more? Because a paper is not many people read newspapers. Do we need to do social media? Do we need to insert in our utility bills? The communication is not clear, and I think it's only right that we consider extending or making sure that the communication is done. And that is my concern. And I think that's the process where we stopped after the moratorium. We then put procedures in place on how to determine who should be considered as the receiving the nonprofits. And then the next step was to determine the allocation process. Do we create a board? Do we bring, there are several things we can consider, but it's not clear. Do we mail out letters to let people know we've received your application? This is the process. We'll be doing it in 3 or 4 days. Wait to hear, establish something so that we can be true to form. And then the commission decides as we look at the request, or the CRA for the CRA committee, to the CRA ownerships, I think they should be a part of it. If we're going to have a West Leesburg CDC, if we do have a West Leesburg CDC and a CRA, we need to have them included to be somewhat of have some kind of skin in the game, or a right to say, this is our community and this is what we would like to see in our community developed. I think that's only right, and that's the purpose, and that's what we should be working to. The commission supports, the commission decides, and we make the best decisions based on what we know. For instance, all of these, this is the latest list, but for future, if another property is coded or non-payment of taxes, when they go to this list for the next process, do we say as soon as they're taken, we go immediately to sell, or we go immediately to find a nonprofit to build? We have to establish some criteria to say if we're going to say this is open-ended, meaning we do it constantly, or do we set ground rules to say between this month and this month we have property that's available, nonprofits can come. Because anybody can create a nonprofit and show up, but then you have to go and deal with the statutes and what the requirements are for CRA property for sure, and especially for selling CRA. We have to follow the deposition of properties, am I saying this right? To make sure that we are following what the CRA is requesting. CRA, if we sell all our, I'm saying I think we should do both because situations are different. But for the land that we have, for its developing, we need to hold on to it so that we can create further improvement to the district. If we sell it all, then anybody can come in and we have no control of what will be done or what will be put where. So I think we need to really think this through and not just get rid of the lots because you're tired of it or just whatever, but just, I think it's a one-on-one, because one of the properties here, if you look, just for a point of reference, if I could make, the the one lot on, it's 0899, 1018 McCormick. That's adjacent right behind the school, the junior middle school. You can't build anything on, what is that point? Help me understand, 0.13? So why not donate that to the ownership of the home that's there? That's just a pathway that walks from the backside of, from the path that comes to Berry's Park. So, I mean, that's just an example. That's just a one-on-one. So this is what I'm trying to say.
I think our frustration, I agree. I'm hearing both sides, that in the meantime, we're doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to do something.
Yes.
You know, I think that's
I'm in agreement with all of that.
So
And look, add one more thing.
let me add this before you go in there. So that's kind of where we're at. So we're coming to you. We do have a policy on how we donate it. We adopted that. You've got 8 lots here that are ready to do something. Do nothing, donate, sell. The rest of these lots on here, if we do need to move forward, we kind of probably need to get with Grant for him to start doing title work to even get us in position. So all of these lots are in a different phase. 8 are ready for your direction to us. Do you want me to advertise them for donation? Do you want me to advertise them for sale? We have a list of donors where you could donate these, where there aren't issues as far as complications on who gets what lot, because they're all different. But we did not have a donation. We have a policy on donations, but we didn't have specifically a process other than folks who know that these lots are available. So I'm here asking you all for direction. Do A, sit on it and get all the lots together all at once? Grant, I'm not going to put words in Grant's mouth, but it's probably 6 months, I would think, for Grant to do all the title work on all of these.
Yeah, I think, we can get some preliminary answers as far as what some of the issues look like on the various properties and what we need to clean up and what it might look like. Some of them may be a quicker fix than others.
Right. If you all want to discuss this in more detail, have us bring back some staff proposals to you. But one way or another, the question keeps coming up. As your manager, I think you are ready to get rid of these lots, but I need the majority of the commission advising how we do that.
So I stand by my former comments, every one of them. We have overly complicated this for the last 18, 24 months. I want them gone, except for the ones we want a land bank. I already said I don't care, donate, sell. I trust staff to do the right thing there. But the other thing I want to add here, and we lost sight of this, I would put a condition on these maybe, and help me out here, that they need to build on them in a certain amount of time.
That is in the adopted policy.
Okay, and that leads into where I'm going with this.
And if they don't build in a certain time, they have to give it back.
And where I'm going with this whole idea here, that benefits the CRA. So we're missing a perfect opportunity to improve the CRA so we're spending money when we could be moving them, having homes built on them, improving our CRA revenue. It's getting old. It's time to move. And I used to be a banker. We had regulations. We cannot keep anything on our books beyond 5 years. So we had to get a waiver. And the point is, the mentality was get them off your books. It's the right thing to do from a business standpoint. So I'll support anything to get these things going and off our books.
Commissioner Peterson, let me ask you this then. From the first time we received this lot, you had one lot on Main Street. Did you sell yours, or did you sell that lot, or did you donate it? It was on 13th and Main, somewhere on that end. It was a lot listed.
It wasn't owned by the city. It was just a lot I had listed.
It was just it was on a list as an infill lot that it wasn't used. So did you sell? I mean,
the one right there at Main Street, 27.
It was 13th and Main, somewhere that open lot on.
Oh, I don't know anything about that lot. I had a lot.
Well, it's not on his list now. That's what I'm saying. That was the original list, and I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you have the sale, or did you have?
No, I had nothing to do with that.
Okay.
I don't know anything about that property. I do remember some discussion on it.
It was I remember you stating the value of it. But anyway, the next question is, I just another concern is that in order for us to build the community and make the district grow, in which we've had several homes that be built several homes to be built to increase the real estate and the value of the property, but we still have the open lots that's still there that you really can't do much with them. So if we say we just give them to a nonprofit, there has to be, I mean, it's understood that they must build an affordable home on it, speaking, but all of them aren't available. I mean, there's not the width or the space to build. So see what I'm saying? We can't just say nonprofit, but they're all, it's a one-up. For instance, I'm gonna give you one more, and then I'm gonna go on with the move. The one lot is on here. This is in District 2. It's on 2103 Hollywood Drive. That's your area, Commissioner Reisman. So look at the size of the lot. It's .267.
Well,
what would you do with that? I'm saying.
I'm going to let staff have that fund. I don't want to manage these as a commission. I want the staff, I'm delegating to staff to handle this. But to answer your question.
This is a question.
No, but I would say, well, it needs to be.
We can't make a decision and say we can't. Okay, in order to donate, they have to build a nonprofit.
Well, if it's too small, we'll
Exactly.
sell it to an adjoining property owner, donate it, do something.
Or at least offer, but that adjoining property maker might not be in
I'm fine
position
with
to
that.
buy. So now we're back at square one.
Well,
We're still on our list of inventory.
Let the neighbors bid.
It has to be a process.
Let the neighbors bid on it, and if nobody bids on it, we'll split it 3 ways and give it to all of them. I'm serious.
That doesn't make sense. That won't be, you can't split.
It makes more sense than sitting on them like we're doing and spending thousands of dollars a month $1,000 per year per lot. That makes no sense. That makes no sense whatsoever.
How long have these lots been here? Just be honest. Tell me. Way before. Just look at the time frame.
What's the question?
How long have these lots been on this list?
We haven't.
Not done anything to until I asked and requested. What was done prior to?
You're not going to like my answer.
I wish you would give it to me, please.
Since you came on the commission, we've not sold or donated any.
That's not true.
I think it is true.
This is the one we had right here on January 9th
No,
and
because we
January
gave her time to
23rd.
put the plan in place or something. Okay, you can tell I'm frustrated with this subject. We spend so much time on this, and it's really not that complicated.
It's not getting anywhere.
Yeah, we just need to
So if
move
we go
them.
tonight and say we're going to do sale and move, what are we accomplishing if we don't know? Exactly. So my suggestion, may I please ask that we hold 6 months then and that you gather as much as you can? I just don't
We gave you 18 months, and you wrote a plan. We sat here and bickered about it for hours.
The plan is still in place, but it's not a process of the allocation. So how do you determine who gets
Okay.
the infill lots? When you have put a plan in place, how do you determine who gets it? If 3 people come and ask for the same property, how do you decide which nonprofit should receive it?
Seal bid.
Okay, so how
do you
so
do that?
how do you do
Allison,
that?
tell us.
That's my question. I would say first we do a bidding process.
She-
You do an application that you receive, then you send back. I
But-
mean,
Well,
you receive
I mean,
an
we need-
application, do you let somebody know?
We need we're talking
need a
about things,
process.
but we're not doing.
That's-
and
exactly.
we want something, we want these to have
Al,
homes built.
can we not create a scoring system based off the nonprofit, or like you and I talked about earlier today, to get these moving?
Yeah, I mean, yes. So
What was that? I didn't hear.
Get these moving off our books, but then advertise it for the nonprofits, and then there would be a scoring system based off criteria that our staff sets, and if whoever scores the highest gets the property.
I don't follow that entirely, but I just want these things gone. I can't believe we're still talking about this.
Here's what we'll do to kind of move this along. I will work with Grant and get the rest of the list ready for movement. In the interim, I think I think the commission probably wants to consider some type of donation. I think the donations is probably long-term a better deal for the city than a sale of the lot to some investor from outside the community that may put $5,000 down on the table, and then the lot's going to turn back into the same condition it was
And then we're here with
before.
blight
And
again.
then exactly. So I do think I would encourage the commission to donate these lots. Let me come up with a concept that Commissioner Reisman and I spoke earlier today about putting together kind of a checklist on criteria for how we would rank a donation. So let me put together that for you, and I'll come back.
I would definitely welcome that opportunity, and I have some ideas as well that I would like to share if we could do that for the donation.
Give me a shot anytime.
I would like to get them off the books before the end of the year.
Don't think that's going to happen.
I'd like to get them off the books before my 2 and a fourth years ends.
Okay, so you done there, boss?
Yes.
All right. We'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Peterson?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Berry?
I just wanted to ask also, where are we, city manager, with the process of determining the area in Carver Heights with the flooding that took place with Milton? Is there an up-to-date with the study of where
You want
the
to give
gentleman
that,
was
Cliff?
requested?
Actually, I know Cliff was working with Keith Riddle to go through some concepts on what to improve.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you come up here, Cliff?
Cliff Kelsey, Director of Public Works. Yes, so we met with Keith Riddle. We did a walk through the neighborhood. We looked at the existing infrastructure, and we noticed some deficiencies, and we put it down on paper. And then Keith went back to his office, and he thought about it, and he didn't want to accept the work because he thought it would be better served going to the original engineers that designed the system. So we're in the process of digging up all the old drawings. We contacted the old company that does not exist anymore to try to track down the engineers that have since moved to different engineering firms. And what we're also doing is we're emptying the retention pond. We're gonna pump the water out. We're gonna do boring samples to make sure it's percolating per design. We're coming up with ideas for putting Miami curbing throughout the areas where there are no Miami curbing. So long story short, we're working it. It's just taking a little bit longer. We thought, getting Keith Riddle on board was going to be the answer to it, but it's going to be a little bit longer, but we're definitely working it, and we're going to provide a solution.
Thank you.
Is that all?
That's it. Oh, and kudos for the park cleaning. I would say for Berry Park, it really looks nice, and I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner Connell? Commissioner Reisman?
I just want to say thank you to the Leesburg Special Events and the Rec Department for putting on the inaugural Veterans Day Parade. It was really great. I was shocked about how many entries we had. It was a really good parade, and they did a phenomenal job. Also, the Leesburg Chamber of Commerce did a phenomenal job putting on the Burn in the Burg chili cook-off. And this last week, the city manager, the deputy city manager, myself, along with Sandy, we held Spark in here from the Leesburg High School students. We did a mock commission meeting. The city manager did a vote. It was a really cool kind of introducing the students to city government. I think that was really cool. Congratulations to Commissioner Connell on his victory and reelection. And then lastly, with all the current growth, the districts are malapportioned, and I would be curious if the commission would be open to doing a redistricting. And I talked to this city manager about that as well. So
We're going to have to.
we're going to have to.
We said that 2 years ago.
Yeah, there are guidelines. There are guidelines, right?
Here we are.
Guidelines on when you have to do it and so forth.
Yeah,
It's numbers.
yeah. You want your districts compact and contiguous with equal voting or equal population. So they are malapportioned at this time because of the village's growth. So we'll start digging into some numbers. If the goal is to get something redone by the 26 election, that gives us probably a year and a half or so to get it in place. We need to get something in place prior to,
advertising.
The supervisor of elections?
yes, and so we probably have a year. So let us, and Commissioner Reisman spoke to me about this, so we're trying to dig into the data. So we'll come back to you with some information on it.
Mr. Mayor, can I just point to that question? That's why we're doing the redistricting, make sure there's a 1985 federal consent decree that says District 1 has to have special consideration for the majority vote of African Americans, of blacks.
Yes.
Did you have something to say, Commissioner Peterson? No? That'll be it for me. Thank you.
Mayor Burry?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier the 5-year work program with DOT. You know, everybody complains about our roads, This is your opportunity to show up and do something about it. And I can tell you right now, the 5-year plan, there's nothing for us. You know, they haven't even talked about 33. You know, it's not even on. Well, they say it's on the radar, but it's not on the right written paper. No projects for us.
We're on the list to be studied.
Yeah, that's what. Yes,
How often do they come out and do their analysis and make a comment? to
You know,
what?
the 5-year plan is a rotating kind of thing. You know, it's. Well, for instance, 441, that is only 2-lane from Perkins to Newell Hill. You can go from the Villages to the other side of Mount Dora on 3-lane, except that little spot right in Leesburg. That has been a project that is supposed to be 6-lane, and
It was on the list at one time.
it was on the list, it got high, and then they said, well, we're just going to resurface it. So the 5-year plan just kind of is this evolving thing all the time. But if you don't show up and let yourself be heard, then that's what you get. You know, that's kind of the deal. So, and that's all I've got tonight.
Adjourn.
Real quick.
Oh, wait.
Yep, good.
Since it's almost midnight, I want to take the opportunity to wish our illustrious city manager tomorrow a happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Al. Happy birthday to you. How old are you? No, I'm just kidding.
Next time you bring cake.
Motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, we're out. Thank you, guys.
Okay, all right.